Hello, this is Seth Welling, and welcome to another AFI 100 Greatest American Films List Review. Today I'm doing High Noon. It's a 1952 film. It occupies the 33rd spot in the 1998 list and the 27th spot in the 2007 list. This is the most perfect Western. I know Shane was a good Western. This is the most perfect story because High Noon is a time lock. The movie is about 2 hours long, and the event of the movie is also almost 2 hours long. The premise behind this movie is that Will Kane, the sheriff, must defend his town against Frank Miller, who's a killer who Will Kane has tried to put away, but he was acquitted, and now he's coming back to town to kill Will Kane. The train that Miller's on arrives at high noon, and that's the whole premise of the story. In the story, Will Kane has just married Amy at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then they decide to go on their honeymoon. But as they're starting out, Will Kane gets a sneaking suspicion that he needs to come back and defend the town because the town is without a sheriff for one more day. And he just can't abandon his perceived responsibility and leave these people without any law enforcement. Once he gets back, he learns that Frank Miller is on the train, and all Frank Miller's boys are waiting for him to get off the train so he can wreak havoc, find Will Kane, and kill him. Amy wants none of that. She's a Quaker, and she's experienced death in her life, which made her become a Quaker. She just wants to begin her life with Will Kane. He is torn between a woman that he loves and his duty. The reason why this is the most perfect Western is you have to understand the 50s. In the 50s, there was this congressman named Joseph McCarthy who was persecuting actors and writers and Hollywood people for being communists, and it was totally fake. Today we would call that fake news, and the director was trying to talk about standing your ground for your rights even though you're under persecution. That's one of why this movie sent a strong message to the viewing audience. The other reason why it sends a strong message is because we were in the middle of the Korean War. Korean War lasted from 1951 to 1953 when America stopped North Korea at the 38th parallel, and I know it's in the news today, but that's the reason why it was important. North Korea was hell-bent on taking over South Korea and doing basically the same thing as what happened in Vietnam. In Vietnam, North Vietnam took over South Vietnam, and then the whole country was communist. In the 50s and 60s, communism was seen as a real threat, and we were defending the world from that form of government because it was seen as the evil empire and counter to everything American. That's why Joe McCarthy got it in his mind that actors and writers and Hollywood types were helping spread communism. It's largely false, and a bunch of people got blacklisted and had to wait out this communism fear so they could work again. It's also a study in tension because during most of the movie, everyone is waiting for Frank Miller to come on the train. Everybody knew that once Franklin got down, all hell would break loose. It's really interesting how the show people who are just abandoning their town because they're going to risk being killed. The people who stick around town really want the town to be successful and still grow after this threat is over, versus the people who are fleeing are thinking that this threat is going to be the end-all be-all for this town. Once the threat arrives, the town is over. It's a parable for standing your ground against McCarthyism or North Korea. It's allegorical to the Korean War. We stood our ground. We stopped the North Koreans at the 30th parallel, and that's what gave viewing audience hope that we would prevail against North Koreans then. It's almost in real time, so this was as good as it gets, because as a filmmaker, you want to have your film be perceived as real as possible to get the viewing audience glued to the screen for the whole time. Oh, this movie is also black and white, so if you don't like black and white films, you may not like it, but I think you should watch it because it's a study in keeping an audience attention and giving the audience a positive message. Hope, and that if you stand your ground, things will be okay. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe, and I'll give you more. Have a good day.